Well, we all remember that fateful day, October 7th. Today we're going to talk to Captain Elkana Cohen regarding October 7th. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the beginning of the last days. My name is Laura-Lynn Tyler Thompson, and many of us are looking at world events, and some people saying we've never been closer to World War III than right now. We've watched as the Middle East has been exploding, as Israel has taken out Hamas and Hezbollah systematically in military prowess. I'm just so very, very grateful that those that have no regard for the Jews, for Israel, those who have sworn to defeat them and to destroy them, are actually the ones that have been taken out recently. And I am watching with great interest as I believe some biblical prophecy is being fulfilled. And I'm just so very thankful that there are people powerful enough and with enough integrity. If I were someone, this is how I look at it. If I were someone who lived in Israel, I would be so grateful that there is the military campaign to defeat the ones that want to completely obliterate Israel from the planet. It has been absolutely something to watch. Before we get to our esteemed guest today, you know that I love to share with you from my father's Bible. This is a treasure that my dad left before he passed away. He loved to read it from the beginning to the end, and he marked it up. And I turned today, and I kind of went to the Old Testament, you know, where there's lots written about Israel. And I went to Leviticus 26 because at the top of this page, my dad's got a star there. He's written, underlined some things in red, some things in blue. And this is two scriptures that he has underlined very strongly. So Leviticus 26:44. And yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them, to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them, for I am the Lord, their God. But I will for their sakes remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt, in the sight of the heathen, that I might be their God, for I am the Lord. I was raised in a family to honor Israel and to understand that Old Testament and New Testament talks about blessing Israel. I have been there twice. I absolutely love this gorgeous shofar that I have from Bethlehem. And I remember walking the streets of Jerusalem and just feeling that sense that this is where Jesus walked. To me as a Christian, that's important. And for the Jews, reaching out to them and letting them know we love them and we believe that God has a covenant that shall not be broken. And that covenant, I love that Netanyahu understands that his greatest allies are the West. It is the United States of America and then Canada. Little disappointed sometimes about the Biden and Trudeau regimes and how they have maybe not done and not stood with Israel the way that they should have. But God is not mocked. He is in full control. I want to welcome Captain Elkana Cohen. He goes by Kuno, and I have been given permission to call him Kuno. He's the author of October 7th, The War Against Hamas Through the Eyes of an Israeli Commando Officer. And he is a reserve commando officer. He was born in Jerusalem, raised in Yeruham as the eldest of 7 siblings. And remember David, King David, he was the youngest of 8 siblings. So they have a lot of babies over there. His dad is an educator. His mom leads the nursing department at Ben Gurion University. His military journey began in the Duvdevan Unit before moving to the Duvdevan Unit. I'm sorry if I'm messing that up. Completing his training there and continuing to officer school, he eventually became a team commander, both in his unit and at the officers training school. He met his future wife, Sirens, while they were both serving in the same military unit. And I just want to welcome him. Before we do, I think that we have a clip regarding the book that he has written about October 7th. Take a look.
פסל תקין בעוד 7, 4, 2, 1, פיצוץ. נחמן צעק פקודת הסתערות וכניסה ללחימה. כולנו רצים קדימה במוכנות לסרוק ולכבוש את הבניין. פתאום אני קולט 20 לוחמים רצים באטרף לכיוונים, מבט של פחד בעיניים. איפה? איפה המטען? איפה הפצועים? שמי אלקנה כהן, שירתתי כמפקד צוות לוחמים ביחידת דובדבן. במלחמת חרבות ברזל לחמתי תחת חטיבה 551. מספר אישי, 7 באוקטובר 23. זהו יומן בו כתבתי ותיעדתי את כל החוויות, הקרבות, הלוחמים והחברים שנפלו מהיום הראשון ללחימה ועד היציאה מעזה. אני מזמין אתכם לבוא אחריי, ללכת בעקבות הלוחמים בעזה, לראות איך דור הטיק-טוק הופך לדור הניצחון.
Wow, I am looking forward to reading your book. Tell me about this. Were you in Gaza or did you get the stories afterward when October 7th happened? Yeah.
First of all, thank you for having me. It's a privilege to participate in your show, your podcast, and it's really an honor. So on October 7th, as you mentioned, I'm reserve. I'm not in an active service. I slept in my in-law, which is a bit north than Tel Aviv. And you might not, but in 5:30 in the morning, 1 hour before everything started, my wife woke me up and she was terrified. She told me that she had a nightmare, and in her nightmare, hundreds of terrorists were chasing us, and I couldn't use my gun in order to defend ourselves. I just hugged her. I told her, Shiran, don't worry, nothing will happen, and we went back to sleep. But an hour later, I was waking up from the sirens and the Iron Dome system that were activated, and I understood that we are at war. That time, I ran into my house, I opened my phone, called my commander in order to understand what's going on and to make sure if there is anything that I can do. That time, he told me that something bad going on right now in the south. Just prepare everything I can and to get ready to get called up. I just hang up the phone call and I get another phone call of my friends who used to serve with me in my unit and who told me that not only me, but also my wife, Shiran, got called up. I can tell you that. No question, no hesitation. Even though I won't lie if I'll say that I was a bit nervous, but more than that, I was proud to understand that me and my wife going to defend our country and to do everything as we can in order to save our brother and sister. So this is how everything started for me.
Wow. You know, we began watching here in Canada and North America, and we knew something was going on, but we always hear that something's going on, but we didn't understand that the worst attack against Israel since the Holocaust was literally taking foot. So how did the day progress for you? And what happened in the days that followed?
So after getting called into my unit, which you mentioned it right, it's Duvdevan. And for those who watched Fauda, the series on Netflix, that series based on my unit. And so we got called up, and then it was a total chaos. We didn't understood how bad the situation is because that time we got different order every 5 seconds. We got orders to get ready into Lebanon, to get ready to Iran, to get ready into Gaza, while people that their only crime was to dance and a festival of music were slaughtered. And we got into a 3 weeks of preparation. Every division, every unit in the army had different things to do, but my unit were getting ready into the grounded maneuver. And after a couple of weeks, 3 weeks to be precise, we got the order to get into the Gaza Strip. And we were the first brigade to cross the border. And I want to share couple stories that we had there during that time to allow your viewers to understand what we've been through.
Yes.
So one of the time we've got an intelligence on a school that was full with terror infrastructure. We knew that we have to conquer that school, but we also knew that that school was full with civilians. So as we always do, we start calling them all out, but no one left the area. We didn't understand why. So we used a drone in order to scan the school from above. And then we saw that there is Hamas guards inside that school that did not let those civilians to leave the area. But more than that, from the drone, it seems like a 5 years old kid who tried to run away. And one of the Hamas guards took his AK-47 and shot this little kid in his head and killed him in front of his mom. That point, we understood that we have to kill those Hamas guards, not only for our sake, but also for those civilians' sake.
Wow.
And in that point, we were 300 meters away. But then one of the Hamas guards went on the rooftop and he was holding a baby in front of us. He was holding it just like that. He knew exactly where we were. And behind them was a guy that was holding a camera. And it almost seems like he wanted us to take that shot and to kill this little baby. Well, unlike those savages that brutally murdered, raped, and killed innocent people, we're not shooting babies, so we didn't take that shot. And later on, the same guy went on the rooftop again. He was surrounded by a group of women. One of the women, something fell from her hands, and she bent a little bit to pick it up, but it was enough for a sniper to take that shot and to kill this guard. And by that, we were able to allow all the civilians to leave the area, to kill all the rest of the Hamas guards that was inside that school. But I'm sharing that because I want people to understand what are we dealing with through this war. While we fighting out of love to our dear one, that while we talking, there are still 101 hostages holding in captivity by the hand of Hamas. They fighting out of hatred, not only against Jews, because I fight side by side with Christians and Muslims. They fighting against the West civilization, and we're trying to do as much as we can in order to fight them.
That's amazing. And you know, we have just been amazed at how Israel, before it goes into any of these areas, even in Gaza, they would drop all of the leaflets to let people know that the IDF was going to have to come in and you're going after the terrorists and asking everyone to leave. And in fact, like over 1 million people left Gaza, right?
So I don't know the numbers. I can tell you just what I saw from my experience. But we're almost every place we've been through was already evacuated, and all the civilians or the terrorists that were stays there, they already got noticed that the IDF is getting there. But there is something very important for me to say and share. I've been through their houses, even though we call most of them civilians, and we do as much as we can in order to avoid any casualties. I've been through their houses. Almost every house was full with ammunition. Almost every house had bombs in their baby bedroom. And I saw not once, not twice, terror tunnels inside baby beds rooms. And I can tell you that as a newlywed, as an expecting father, I can never imagining me putting bombs under my future baby. I can't believe why they're doing that. but I know that we're trying to avoid any casualties while we're fighting evil and cruelty enemy who really don't care about life.
Wow. And these are the kinds of stories that we were hearing, is that they use the homes. Even when we were looking at video, we were trying to see who's not supporting Hamas. And it seemed like even the civilians, I mean, they voted in Hamas. And there is a strange loyalty to Hamas, even though they would kill their children. They are terrorists. They caused all of this pain to Gaza by October 7th in and of itself. It's hard to understand the thinking.
Yeah, I think that they hate us more than they love their children, unfortunately.
Yes. And that's an incredible way to put it, that it is the hate that is driving this. And so as you were going through all of this, your book and some of those visuals, it's cataloging basically the journey of the IDF as you were in search of the terrorists to take them out.
So after 6 days of fighting, which I couldn't communicate with my wife, one of my friends told me, Kuno, and this is how they call me, why wouldn't you write a letter to your wife? And while me writing a letter to my wife, I understood that we are witnessing to something that the entire world should understand and be aware. And from that day on, I decided to keep a journal every day. I think I slept 3 hours less every night than all of my teammates, because it was important for me to document as much as I could. And also, as you mentioned, one of the time I had a break and I got a GoPro, and I decided also to film, take videos as much as I could, because I want to allow people to understand what we're truly going through this war.
So when this happened, was it a shock to you in Israel that Hamas had done this on October 7th? Was there an expectation that maybe Hezbollah was the worst enemy and that Hamas would not do this? Was this shocking?
I think it was, we all got shocked. Unfortunately, on October 7th, I lost from my own circle 9 friends. Some of them were dancing in the festival of music at the Nova Festival. Some of them got murdered while they were trying to protect their brothers and sister, literally their brother and sister in the south. And yeah, I think the IDF, we failed that day. And right now we just need to make sure that we can't have that in the future. And it's led me to another point. I hear people calling for a ceasefire. I'm not a politician and I won't speak on their behalf, but I can speak from my perspective. We can have those ceasefire. Though the enemy that we're dealing with, his only goal is to wipe out the state of Israel and to kill as many people as they can. And we have to defeat them. We have no other opportunity.
Yes.
Ceasefire from me is not an option. I want to make sure that we are bringing back our brother and sister, and we're not allowing anything like that will ever to happen again. Not in the Gaza Strip, not in Lebanon, not in Syria, not in Yemen, not in Iran. All of the people who want us dead, we won't let them have that.
Amen. And we stand with you for that. It's not okay what has happened. Some people are saying, and have even said to me, that it's October 7th propaganda that says that women were raped, babies were killed, children killed in front of their parents. Can you tell us, how do we know what is true that happened on October 7th?
It's such an easy question. Just go to the same day on October 7th and look what Hamas posted that day through Facebook Live, YouTube Live. There was proud about the fact that they killed people, innocent people. You probably heard the recording of the son who calling his mother proud that he murdered 10 civilians, and his mother just answering back that she's sorry that she couldn't participate and to kill more Israelis together with them.
Terrible.
There was just proud about that fact. You don't need to look in our database in order to understand that. Just go to their website, go to their Facebook Live that they did. You're gonna find everything.
Well, the world seems to want to hide the truth in this regard. And it's also extremely difficult because you can't be sharing these violent, bloody attacks just on your social media now. So people are now changing the narrative, basically saying, you know, this is just Israeli propaganda. And we know that that is not true. And in fact, some of my friends have visited the kibbutzes where even, you know, a very high percentage of the entire kibbutz died. How do you handle this personally? You're very strong and very well spoken. I find many people from Israel, it's like this is a very treacherous and stressful thing, and yet you remain strong in resolve of what you need to do. How do you do that?
So, first of all, I have strong family. We have strong roots in our nation. We've been through a lot. It's almost unbelievable to say that just 8 years ago we've been through a Holocaust, and by then we were able to accomplish and to build an amazing state that leading in lots of aspects in life all over the world through high techs, agriculture, and amazing resorts, amazing companies. I think that what we have is the ability to look at the future, to know that at the end everything will be good, and we're just trying to do as best as we can to stay positive. Yes, unfortunately, I lost by this war 26 friends, 9 of them on October 7, and all the rest by the last year that we've been through. So it's not easy for me, but I know that I don't have any other option, and as a nation we don't have other option. But I can tell you that it's not only about us, because those people, while others shouting death to Israel, they're shouting death to America, they're shouting death to the West, and we're doing as much as we can. We know this is also our responsibility to make sure that nothing like that will happen, not only in Israel but in the entire world.
Some people say that the reason that all of this has happened is, well, you know, Israel, held Gaza like the world's largest prison. Can you describe for me your understanding of the living conditions and the visitation that happened back and forth between Gaza and Israel?
Amazing that you're mentioning that, because it's a very good point. First of all, people accusing Israel by make all the Gaza citizen as a prisoner. I think they forgetting that they have common border with Egypt. So first of all, this is not only Israel. And if you'll see, if you will see backwards to October 7th and all the days before, there were thousands of people, citizens from Gaza, who used to live inside Israel, but Egypt didn't let them to have that kind of thing. So first of all, Israel treated them much more better than Egypt. But I can tell you that I've been through some different places in the Gaza Strip. All the neighbors that was belongs to Hamas commander they had houses that I'm, as a normal human being, were jealous to see their lovely houses. There were rich people, but then you're gonna go to all the rest of the people, and it's very, very amazing to see how they all poor. And the reason why is because Hamas take all this money, and he's do two things with that: rather take it to himself, or invested in terror tunnels. They have bigger underground city subway system that bigger than the New York subway system. So they investing everything that they have in order to build terror infrastructure. I'm telling you, I've been in the Gaza, in the northern part of the Gaza Strip. They have the nicest beaches over there. They could have built an amazing resort. They couldn't invest all of that money in order to build schools, to build an amazing places, but yet they decided to invest every penny, every shekel that they had in order to build terror infrastructure.
You know, Israel, when you look at the map of the Middle East, it's this little tiny strip of land. And Israel, King David was king over Judea in Jerusalem. King Saul, it goes back 3,000 years. And yet the Palestinians want to lay claim, which we didn't even hear of this word, Palestina, until after, many years after Israel had its roots laid in Jerusalem, and surrounding areas. Why is there not an ability to have peace so that Israel could have their land? There would be lots of places. It's such a vast place. But I've heard the Palestinians are unwelcome in Jordan. They're unwelcome in Egypt. They're unwelcome in Lebanon. And I heard that from a Lebanese man.
Yeah. So as you just mentioned, Palestinian term, it's a made-up term that was starting being used on 1948, and basically, if we are already talking about being a Palestinian, my great-grandmother, she was a Palestinian because, first of all, Israel belongs to Great Britain, and they decided to call it Palestina, and she had a Palestinian passport. So if we are talking about that term, so the people who actually had a Palestinian passport were the Jewish. They came and made Aliyah and moved to Israel before the establishment of Israel. And beside that, I think that people are just educating their kids to hate us. So this is why they are not willing to have anything regard to Israel. They don't in their perspective, as they saying all the time, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which basically means that there is no place for Israel. But also, if you're going to ask all the people who are trying to protest against Israel, please ask them which river and which sea. I assuming that the majority of them will not even understand, will be able to give you the answer. They just repeatedly saying things that they heard. Well, they don't know anything, and unfortunately, they're supporting the wipe out the state of Israel in total, to don't have the Jews the right to exist on their own land, which, as you just mentioned from the Bible earlier, we can see that the Jewish people were here thousands of years before what we can see here right now, what's going on.
We absolutely can. It is actually here in Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, Samuel. I mean, it's all there. The great prophet Samuel, as he called David to be king. It's all in these areas. David would run and hide from Saul, even when they had their jealousy and difficulties going on. I love to study the word. I love these Jewish and biblical stories of Israel and Judea and how it all came about, to simply wipe that away and decide that it's that it's not their land. Even from 1948 and all of the stories that get changed, people write terrible things and do videos on it and propagate lies about 1948. And we believe that 1948, in one day, God restored the nation of Israel in such a miracle. And we have covered that on this show. But tell me again, it is my understanding that Israel, we call it, they want to call it this open air prison, but people would come in, they would go to the hospital, people would come from Gaza and they would work. right there. And these people, unfortunately, ended up giving intel to the soldiers, is our understanding, on October 7th. They betrayed the very people who did have open doors to them.
It's much more than that. Sinwar himself had cancer while he was already in actual prison because all of the things that he've done. And Israel took care of him and healed them from his own disease. So yes, we doing as much as we can, but unfortunately those people are just like, they'll do everything in their power to make sure that the Israel state will not exist anymore.
Tell me about Sinwar. Is Sinwar a Hamas guy for those of us who don't know all the names?
Yeah, Sinwar, he was the mastermind of October 7. He was the one.
He's just died, right? They took him out?
Yeah, definitely.
So you're saying that Israel, in the hospitals, they treated him?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, God have mercy on his soul as he now faces judgment. But so...
I hope that he won't mercy on his soul. This guy deserves all the worst.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And you know, it's quite clear, actually, that the 10 Commandments are so simple. Thou shalt not kill. What these people have done and what they did on October 7th was unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. Hearing the outfall from that, seeing the videos, as you've talked about. Subsequently, if I could ask your personal situation with seeing the epic military strategy that has been deployed by Israel with the pagers and the radios, how that happened, and then taking out Hezbollah as they gather, because they have no communication, they gather and they take out many of the Hezbollah leaders as well. These are terrorists, psychopaths. These are the sickest people of humanity. And Israel has had to deal with them, and they've done it alone without even the United States really having full support the way that they should have.
Yeah, I think the pagers attack, for example, was an amazing attack. It was very accurate, the most accurate that you can do, because everyone who hold that have a direct connection to the Hezbollah organization. And I would like to see much more of that coming. And I know that some of the people around us also decided to protest against that, which for me just sound outrageous, because we doing as much as we can in order to be accurate as we can and to make sure that no one else getting hurt while we're attacking.
I appreciate you bringing that up regarding the fact that you see that people in Israel are protesting the things that Netanyahu and the military are doing. You know, I equate it to how we have crazy people here in Canada that protest for all kinds of crazy reasons too. You know what I mean? They protesting for what is right, protesting for freedom, for peace, for safety, yes. But to not understand that Hezbollah, if it is not destroyed, there will be another day of attack, right?
Yeah, you're right. By saying people who protest, I didn't mean the people inside Israel, because I think in Israel, the vast majority know and understand that it was a brilliant thing to do, this pager attack. There is protest against some of the politicians, and there is disagreement, but it's not that they disagree about Hezbollah need to be destroyed.
They did not protest that military action, is what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. But I do see people that don't seem happy about Netanyahu, and they don't seem happy about, they want just peace, peace, peace in Israel. I've seen this. What can you tell us about that mindset?
So first of all, I can tell you that as I told you before, I'm newlywed, an expecting father, a business owner. On October 7, I shut down my business, changed my life. Believe me, I also rather to have peace and to have a boring life. Unfortunately, I understood that we have to do what we're doing right now and to fight our enemies. And I think that some of the people, they just don't understand, because I agree with them about the fact that they want peace. They want to be able to see their brothers and sisters that still in captivity, to be able to bring them back home to their families. I just disagree about the ways to do it, because I understand that Hamas would do anything in their power to make sure that he's harming Israel as much as he can. So I think they protest because they don't understand the situation, right? We have the same goal. Some of us don't agree about how to do it.
Right. And you find this in any country, really, that people are in disagreement. I mean, I guess that is the human condition, that we don't always, think that the same strategies are good. But to me, this is so obvious. And I thank you for explaining it in that way, that you too would love peace. Of course, a child on the way, a wife, a business that you want, to go forward. But peace at any price, I guess, would be a very grave mistake. I've heard that the Hamas mission statement, right encoded into why they exist, is for the destruction of Israel.
Yes. Peace, it's not opportunity with Hamas, with Hezbollah. Peace we're doing with someone who understand that we have the right to exist. I would never support peace with someone who raped my sisters, who killed our people, who tried to do everything in his power to make sure that we will not be existing. So unfortunately, I can't see myself or our country doing peace with those people. Well, I hope to do that maybe the people who live in Gaza, who are resisting Hamas, the people in Lebanon that wants Hezbollah to be out of their land, they'll do it, and then we were able to do peace. As I told you, I really want to do peace. Unfortunately, I can't do peace with someone who wants to kill me.
When someone reads your book, October 7th, The War Against Hamas Through the Eyes of an Israeli Commando Officer, what was the goal of your book? What did you want to share in this book?
So, as I told you, I started to write a letter, and then I understood that it's very important to allow other people to understand what we're dealing with. And from that day, I start journaling day to day what I've been through. And not only our experience, but also our emotion, what I felt, the thoughts of my wife, what we've been through, like everything to allow people to get into soldier boots on the ground, to get into our sweatphones and to truly understand what we've been through. So this is what I try to do.
Well, I just appreciate this so much. My final question to you is, could you tell me, now that many of the Hezbollah leaders are dead, of course, there's many more that need to be dealt with, but do you have hope that this October 7th, what was meant for evil, could be used for good to truly eradicate and take out the legs of this terrorist affiliation?
I really hope so. As a religious Jew, I'm always believe that at the end everything will be good. So yes, I know that the future will be good, and I just hope that the Lebanese will understand that it will help us to help them, because Hezbollah, it's not only bad for the Israelis, it's also bad for the Lebanese. The same with Hamas. By fighting against Israel, they destroyed Lebanon. By fighting against Israel, they destroyed the Gaza Strip. We need to understand that we want to live side by side, but if they not going to help us to do it, we will have to fight all the people who are trying to kill us.
I appreciate you sort of mentioning that you call yourself, a religious Jew. one of the things that we see is that Israel has become very secular. Over time, we see those things that are against, what we would probably, the Torah, things like that. But it is, I would say it is the Almighty's idea to give freedom so that we could choose whether to serve him or not to. And that always is the ultimate way that I believe Yahweh, that he would want us to live. Do you think that there is a return to God? And I know you guys don't use that word loosely. Is there a return to a heart turning to the Almighty because of October 7th?
Yes, I do think so. I think that I feel that in my perspective that we are very close to redemption, and we just need to have a little bit more faith and to keep doing what we're doing, and with the help of God, Bezrat Hashem in Hebrew, I'm willing to be able to have that time already, but we're trying to do as much as we can.
Well, we truly believe that you are a nation that is in the apple of God's eye, and that when he is wounded by some of the, the lack of service to him, he also, as I read this morning before we started, it says here that he has a covenant. So, but I will, for their sakes, remember the covenant of their ancestors. Do you sense that? Final question. Are you sensing that there is a covenant with your people, and that the victories you're seeing, the protection you have, and the miraculous survival of all of these attacks is truly because there is a covenant with your people?
I think so.
Yes, I do too. I just thank you so much for sharing this. And people can get your book on different
On
sites.
Amazon and all other places. And I also want to mention my Instagram account. If people want to talk to me, they're more than welcome.
Yes. And that
Yeah,
is Elkana _Kuno.
Yes, ELKANA_KUNO. I would like to answer any question if you have, or through my website, which is elkana-cohen.com, ELKANA-COHEN.com. But before we finishing, I also want to thank you and to thank all the people that supporting us. It's mean a lot, and we are very thankful for that. Please keep do that. And it's amazing to see that support from the people who are supporting us. We need that, and it's very important for us. So thank you for each one of you.
Well, I can tell you that I do support you. Millions do support you. Canadians are gathering even in the streets. There are private prayer Zoom calls for the protection of Israel. We love the Jews. We stand with you. We are so grateful that we see the miraculous hand of God's protection on you at this time. So thank you for your time, and please be safe, and best wishes to your beautiful wife and your upcoming family. God bless.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very nice. Can you imagine the difficulty? It's just something we don't understand here in Canada. To wake up to sirens going off. I mean, we would all freak out, and we'd all be in at the psychologist the next few days getting help for our PTSD, wouldn't we? If in the middle of the night, these sirens going off, if we had a dome of protection all around us and we could look up and see all these bombs trying to bomb into Kitimat, trying to bomb Vancouver, trying to bomb Montreal or Toronto or Winnipeg or Saskatchewan. Can you imagine living like that? every day for decades because a group of people have decided that you Canadians just don't deserve to be here. I don't think we can fathom that. Not to mention that October 7th, it was not any kind of routine sirens. It was the real deal as psychopaths and terrorists executed the worst assault and attack on Israel that we have seen since the Holocaust. And this is relatively normal, except on this day. As I said, October 7th became a line in the sand. And it has been my sadness to find that many do not support Israel the way that they should, and that even those that live in our great Canada, even Muslims who've been here for a long time, have a confusion that somehow Hamas and Hezbollah are the freedom fighters. And there's so much propaganda in this regard. And we have people burning our Canadian flags. Death to Canada. Death to North America. Hamas is coming. They're saying it in our streets. Long live October 7th. They're saying this in Canada. It grieves my heart. And it ought not to be this way. And the thing is, Israel is fighting for us. Did you hear what Captain Elkana said? He said that they're after not only Israel, but eventually death to the West, death to America. This is the problem. So we need to stand strong. We need to be vocal. If you see any anti-Semitism, smash it down with your words. Don't let them get away with it. Call them out on their anti-Semitism, on their racism, on the assault against the Jews. Completely wrong. It's a tiny little sliver of land with generations, literally thousands of years of historically written data supporting that this is their land. And yet they are attacked in such a manner as this. It's absolutely fascinating. And, I remember recently reading too that when Israel took their nation in 1948, they bought the land from many people. It's historically accurate. They didn't go in and just kick everyone out. They did buy the land, but of course there was backlash, and people were mad and angry, and there was some fights that broke out about it. But if ever there was a nation that needed to be, it should be for the Jews. Should the Palestinians have somewhere to maybe go and call it Palestine? I guess so. They should, but it does seem that all of these huge countries do not want to bring them in. And when you hear from them as to why they don't, maybe there's some understanding of that. It's been a difficult road. I just thank God that He's in full control, that we pray for the peace of Israel. We pray for God to take care of bad terrorists, to redeem the times. And this would be for the protection of all of us. I wish that we could just love. I wish that we could just all be at peace. We all have lives, not just Captain Elkana. We all have lives. We have careers. We have children. We have families. We want to gather for Thanksgiving. We want to gather for Christmas. We want to gather at Easter. We love to have a beautiful, peaceful life. And we're so blessed because we do have that here. But Canada, we have some problems that are coming our way. Remember that rebel clip where basically a young Muslim man declared that by 2060, they would like to be able to vote in Sharia law. In a democracy, it's the power of the people. If you have more people that want Sharia law than people that don't, this could happen. I won't be here in 2060, but my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren will be. This is a terrifying thought to me. So my hope is in the name of the Lord. And I will not give in to the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. And we pray that God will keep Canada glorious and free. But in order to do that, we have to expose the evil works of darkness, as the word says. We have to bring about God's principles into our nation. We need government that understands that we need protection now, not in 2060, but now. How we have turned our nation over to those that have no respect for our God, no respect for our Bible or our ways. A democracy is an interesting thing. It's very fragile. If you do not protect it, if you do not see that it needs to be protected, that your land, that the way in which you create culture and build your systems of community, that you will lose it. This is grave, grave concern to many. And we need to be vocal, and we need to figure it out, everybody. Run for your offices. Make sure you're on the city council. Talk to your MPs about moratoriums on immigration. Talk to your MPs about laws that need to be there for the protection of Canada from now until decades to come. Or we lose. It's just that simple. I want to talk to you today about gold and silver. I just heard from Steve Merrill today, and I'm hoping actually we can have him on the live show tomorrow. And silver is just up, what did he say? Is it over 40 or 50? 50? It's over 50? So silver is starting to go up, everyone. We've been telling you. Gold, it's up. Bitcoin, which I cannot understand if my life depended on it. There's only like 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be out there. But there's, 400 and some thousand that are created every day, I think, made available. And then you have to mine it. You mine Bitcoin by having a computer with a lot of fans. It's just too much. I don't know. Should I get big? I can't afford a Bitcoin now. And can you believe it? I mean, there was a day when people bought these Bitcoin, just tiny little bits for pennies. And now it's just a big disaster. All right, so make sure if you've got some fiat currency and you want to get it into something good, that you get a hold of Steve Merrill at Sun City Silver and Gold. Sovereignize at protonmail.com. Sovereignize. He says he made up that word. Did he make it up? I think so. So sovereignize at protonmail.com. And some of you want to make sure that you've got enough Ivermectin and Hydroxychloroquine in your closet for a rainy day and when you need to get rid of some parasites in your body. And there's a lady named Mia, and she's at SozoHealth at proton.me. You can get a hold of her. And also, if you would like to stock up on some antibiotics for a rainy day, then you can go to sales@larksmedical.com. We also want to remind you that Laetrile, which is an incredible agent that is good for basically stopping cancer. It is something that has been shown to be very effective. President Reagan used it when he had, not sure if it was colon cancer or what he struggled with, but rncstore.com/Laura-Lynn. Order today, save 10%. So Laetrile comes from these apricot seeds, and it's been absolutely astounding, the results that have come from that. So we're going to have John Richardson on very soon to talk about the benefits of all of that and to give, again, his testimonials about what's been going on with that. So my website is lauralynn.tv, and we just want to thank all of you for your support. JT and I decided that we were going to be obedient to the call of God, and we were going to begin telling the truth, shaming the devil. And so we were on internet for 4 years before we decided to embark on a new challenge of being on Daystar. And so we just thank you so very much for your support, for your kindness. Thank you to those of you who are supporting our daily show that goes on the internet as well. You have become our family. We know you by name. We love you. We appreciate you. And it means the world to us that you think we are worthy of your hard-earned funds. There's many ways that you can donate. You just go to the donate button and let us know that you're with us and that you stand with us. I want to close today with a powerful scripture in the Word of God. I love reading Psalms because King David wrote the Psalms. King David, who was king in Jerusalem, who had a temple there. Well, his son built the ultimate temple, but he had a home. I am very, very grateful that King David was a man after God's own heart, and he wrote a lot about God. And the things that we celebrate today as Christians in our hearts, many of these beautiful things were written by David. Psalms 91. That's about our protection from pestilence, from pandemonium and pandemics, that we would be hidden under the shadow of the Almighty. If you are ever afraid, go to Psalms 91. Today I want to read to you from my Bible that I am underlining for my future offspring and grandchildren, Psalms 14. The fool says in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt, their deeds are vile. There is no one who does good. The Lord looks down from heaven on all mankind to see if there are any who understand, any who seek God. Isn't that incredible? Think about it. God looks down from heaven and he's searching to and fro to see who shall be faithful. Who can he bless? Who can he honor? Who can he show his great favor to? Can I tell you a secret? I so want to be one of those people. Do you? Because you can be. Will you be that one who seeks God, who puts God on the throne of your heart, who will not succumb to idols, who will not serve dead gods, but rather that you would serve the true and mighty living God? It says, all have turned away, all have become corrupt. There is no one who does good, not even one. David is saying this about his own generation. Imagine how we might speak in a psalm these days. Do all these evildoers know nothing? David asks, with a big question mark. They devour my people as though eating bread. They never call on the Lord. But there they are, overwhelmed with dread, for God is present in the company of the righteous. You evildoers frustrate the plans of the poor, but the Lord is their refuge. Oh, that salvation for Israel would come out of Zion. When the Lord restores his people, let Jacob rejoice and Israel be glad. I love this part. For God is present in the company of the righteous. That's where I want to be, in the company of the righteous, not succumbing to the sin that easily befalls me, to that sin that tempts me. Hey, sometimes it's real simple. It's just gossip. For some, it's pornography. For some, it's gambling. For some, it's sexual immorality. The Lord is present in the company of the righteous. Make sure you're right there in that precious group. God bless. You know, it's not easy to deliver the truth of what our sick world is doing, but for some of us, we feel that we have no choice. Because if we are silent about these abominable things, then we are letting evil go unchecked, and we cannot do that. For those of you wonderful people who are writing me and are sharing your encouragement, I am deeply grateful. Thank you for all the letters that you've been sending. Thank you for the donations and the support. I found out that in order to speak the truth, you have to become very, very strong. If you would go to my website at www.laura-lynn.tv, you'll find all of the ways that you can contact me. Remember, my friends, all is well. All is well. Thanks for joining me.